What's up, you guys? We are off to a rocky start. I didn't hit go live twice. It's your boy Pluggo sitting in for my man JPJ. We are going to be covering AEW Dynamite while JPJ is on assignment. And much like this show, we are off to a rocky start. With me tonight, we got Cody. Cody, making your debut? Or are you retiring tonight? Not sure.
No, definitely not.
And I got my man Ed. He's in here. Was he here last night for the War Report NXT show? And he's a constant contributor here. You see him all the time. Like I said, I am Pluggo, co-host of Between Two Beers with JPJ, and he asked me to step in tonight. So we're going to do our best to cover what was an interesting AEW Dynamite. It was a homecoming episode, right? This is the episode where you kind of are in homecoming sense, right? You schedule the powder puff. You just do the layups so that everybody's happy at the dance, right?
I mean, you tried, and I'm not sure you succeeded 100%. But, I mean, it was an interesting show.
Hello, Astrid. Welcome to the chat.
I mean, I know we're going to talk about it later, but could there have been a more Cody-centric ending to that show than Cody having a 6-minute promo after a 4-minute match?
Yeah. The card looked so bad, you spoiled it for me. I watched the first match and have been bored of the rest. All right, we'll get into all that. Chris Parrish, welcome to the chat. Yeah, lots to talk about tonight. Why don't we go ahead and get started? I am, if you guys know me, Pluggo, I did take some notes. I tried, but my notes are not as tight as JPJ's. So we're just going to kind of live react this, keep it tight, have some fun with it. I did my best. We start off with the third labor of love. We've got Juventud Guerrero coming out, looking good. He looked good, and then he's taking on Jericho. Jericho's got to beat him with a top rope maneuver, which he pulled off really well. In my opinion, I felt that this match was a little sloppy, but it looks like it's two guys that haven't wrestled each other in 25 years, which is exactly what it was. So I'll shoot over to Cody first. Cody, what did you think right out the gate, starting with this match?
Right out the gate, I was definitely impressed. I thought Hoovy looked good. A lot of kind of what he's doing off the bat he looked in good shape. He looked like he could go, but definitely as the match kind of went along, he kind of slowed down. They became a lot more methodical with it. You can tell these guys are showing their age a little bit. The top rope up to the outside where Hoovy just kind of leapt into Jericho's arms was pretty cool to see. And I definitely agree that the way he pulled off the Judas effect off the top rope was a really neat touch.
All right, my man Ed, go ahead and tell us your thoughts on this match. Everybody in the comments watching around, tell us what you thought of this opener. I thought it was quite an interesting show between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's for those of us who used to watch Jericho versus Hoovy in WCW, it was a bit of a letdown. But then again, these guys have been wrestling for 30-plus years. They're not at the peak of their careers anymore, and I think that this match kind of showed that. That being said, I love the fact that we're telling a story on TNT about Juventud Guerrero versus Chris Jericho again. It's continuing the labors of Jericho, but I kind of wish this would have been earlier in the labors of Jericho. I think Nick Gage should have been 4 or maybe 5. I don't think Nick Gage should have been 2.
Right.
Because it's a bit of a letdown when you have Chris Jericho versus Nick Gage main event last week, and then you bring back Juventud Guerrera, and then that's a cool idea, but then they have a clunky match. But, all in all, I like the nostalgia feel. Again, it's AEW hitting all its bases. This was I want to put this is my 1990s WCW checkbox on the list of things we need to do for an AEW show.
Yeah, my man Jeremiah in the comments saying he was kind of bummed that they couldn't go tonight like they thought. He thought they still could go. The finisher was a badass. Yeah, that Judas effect off the top, that got me popped. I popped for that. Was I expecting Hoovy and Jericho to give me a WCW banger like they used to back in the day? Absolutely not. And if anything, Jericho, he comes out with the Band-Aids. He just got carved up by Nick Gage last week. He's not at 100%, so it makes sense for him to be a little sloppy and a little, not fresh, so to speak. So he comes out and he gets it done. Then at the end of the match, Wardlow comes out and kicks the shit out of Jericho. Expected MJF. And then MJF says your fourth labor is Wardlow. And I'm going to be at ringside. Now, they made it sound, I might have missed this. It sounded like he was going to be the ref.
I thought he was going to be the special ref too.
Right, which my first thought was like, if MJF is your ref and this doesn't go as planned for MJF, that is a bonehead move. So I think they maybe slip of the tongue said he was going to be the ref. They dialed it back later on the show when they promoted it for next week that he's just going to be at ringside. Alec Asher said, yeah, sloppy at first. I mean, it's cool. Like, the reason I love AEW is I get to see all my, childhood heroes. Juventud Guerrero wasn't a hero, right? But, it's cool to see him in the ring, and it was a bit sloppy. But, hey, it's Juvi in 2021 versus Jericho. What can you do?
I would have loved Lionheart. Like, a little nod to Lionheart would have been nice tonight.
Yeah. What do you think, Cody, about him being the fourth labor? What did you think? Was that the right placement for Juvi? Or like Ed said, do you think they should have dialed him back a little bit? Or, pushed it up a little bit, I should say. Sorry.
I definitely like how they've kind of played into everything one by one here. That they played into the Nick Gage because the first labor was a DQ match, or ended up with interference, and so they decided to go no DQ, and then bringing back Juvi for kind of the nostalgia to it. Wardlow, I guess, makes sense to the story. The way I thought it sounded when they first announced it was that it sounded like MJF was going to be like a ringside enforcer or something to make sure that everything went according to staying within the rule set. They're not going to quite get into the referee. I think it makes sense within the story. I'm really enjoying MJF preparing for all of this. It'll be different having him on this very standing inside.
Okay. To Jeremiah had a comment earlier that said, who's the fifth labor? The fifth labor would be MJF. The idea is to get to the fifth.
No, I think that you have to go through all five labors. I think there's going to be.
I thought it was.
I think there's going to be a big deal fifth labor.
That's why we need my man JPJ, who's on assignment tonight. He is on top of this stuff, and I am Pluggo, his goofy better half. But we digress. So we move on. Yep. So we're gonna move out. Now we move on. I'm having a little trouble hearing you, my man. But we'll get through that. Hey, it's not me tonight. I usually am the war report. My computer explodes right as the intro hits. But tonight we are. Anyway, so we're moving on. We got the Lucha Bros coming out, cutting a little promo. Oh, a shocker! Pac's not there for travel reasons. Andrade is the man at canceling flights and canceling cars, dude. I don't know how he does it, but I'm proud.
I think he learned from Nick Khan about how to cancel flights and stuff. Ooh, too soon.
He must have. It was a promo. It's to keep Andrade on TV, the pushing the story, Lucha Bros. You don't work for anybody but me. The Lucha Bros saying we don't work for anybody. Pac's just our boy. I like this little dynamic. They get a little deeper into it later on. We'll talk about it. You guys have any thoughts on this quick little intro we just had?
It was nice. It is what it is. I want to see more in-ring action with these guys. I really do. I'm sick of hearing Andrade talk about, hey, I can give you 5-star accommodations and make sure that I don't cancel your travel on you.
I mean, I don't know if anybody in the chat has ever tried to cancel anything, but you need verification, you need identification, you need numbers, the confirmation numbers. I don't know. To me, it seems silly. But hey, like I said, this is a homecoming episode. They're back into Jacksonville for the first time in 3 weeks. So, I mean, I get why they did it. They probably couldn't find a venue, but this was very to build some storylines through talking and hit some heavy hitters. So, promo aside, didn't do too much for me. But then we get the Dark Order coming up, talking with Tony Schiavone and, talking about how they didn't get title shots. And Adam Page comes out. Adam Page looks defeated. He's upset. He's sad. He tells the Dark Order, look, sorry, guys, I'm done. I let you down. I think I need to do this on my own. of course, they're like, no, Adam, no, we love you. Stay, Adam, please don't go. They're like me when my wife leaves for work. I'm like, please don't go, stay, hang out with me. And she's like, I got to go make money. So, they decided to give him space. Cody, what'd you think about that? I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff in play there because I did not see that part of this coming, considering the Elite is stacked right now against Adam Page, as we see in a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting part to the story that they're telling there. I feel like it's kind of a weird dynamic, a weird split, how they've got Grayson kind of trying to give Page what he wants and like, hey, this is what he wants, let's let him do whatever he wants, and the rest of the Dark Order's all trying to step up and be like, no, man, he needs our help, we need to be there. And like we saw later in the show, too, it's kind of dividing the Dark Order right now.
Ed, what do you think about this little potential friction within the Dark Order?
I think it's more interesting, and we see it later on, but there's more friction inside the Dark Order about this situation, where you have Uno and Grayson being like, all right, Page wants to be on his own, cool, we'll let Page be on his own. But I like the idea of, if you're going to move away from Page versus Omega at All Out, which is the rumors that we're hearing is that match isn't happening at All Out, then you need to make sure that you make a pivot to it. This show doesn't look like that's a pivot that they're making. Like, yeah, they named a new number one contender because Page lost, so you name a new number one contender. But it doesn't look like the storylines are moving away to where he's not getting this title shot at All Out. So, I mean, I'm interested to see where it keeps going.
I didn't hear those rumors, and when you said that, my face was like, because this is, if you're an avid AEW watcher, and I've been watching since it's the inception of this thing, I've been all in on it. Pun intended, no pun intended. You take it however you'd like. This is the match that we want to see it All Out. This is like the big money match for me. And maybe not, and in the comments, if you've got a different match you're looking forward to, let us know. But for me, I think you got to do it. Christian Cage being a number one contender, that doesn't necessarily scream All Out main event to me. So maybe that's something they do as a filler. Maybe as they try to stack the Rampage card. That we'll see. So we move on. We move on from this little segment with Giovanni, the Dark Order, and we get what I was confused. I actually hit us up in the chat. I said, is that Everrise? So we get Daniel Garcia and 2.0, as I think they're being called, versus Mox, Kingston, and Darby Allin with Sting. So this match, to me, this is what I kind of been digging about AEW the last, month or so, is they're spotlighting on Dynamite some of these awesome independent talents that everybody's raving about. I don't know the most about Daniel Garcia. I know a little bit about him to know that the matches I've seen, the dude is phenomenal. But it's cool to see them spotlighting. He was just on NXT a few weeks ago. Everrise obviously was in NXT. Now they've debuted in AEW. I don't know if that's a sign of more of them to come. But this was to get Daniel Garcia some spotlight, kind of in a tryout sense. And it was Mox, Kingston, and Allen doing all their spots, getting the crowd hyped. The crowd was popping for all three of them. For me, Eddie Kingston on TV, the more the better. What did you think of this match overall, Cody?
I really enjoyed this. I think this was one of my favorite matches of the night. Biggest problem that I had with it was just the ability of Kingston being the guy in peril for a large part of it. I was kind of happy that got put in the picture during the commercial break, because it was really hard to believe him as the guy that was being beaten down and having to go personality really one day. I love Mox and Allen's dynamic together. I love Kingston being in there. Enterprise, I loved it. He said he was in NXT. I'm not entirely familiar with a lot of their interest stuff, but I've enjoyed what I've seen of just their personality and their character work. So I'm excited to see more from them in AEW and see if they get a bigger spotlight than they have in NXT. I do apologize. I think there's some lag on my microphone that I may end up cutting you off on meeting you sometimes.
I think we're losing you on the mic side there, Cody. Maybe see what you got going on there. And I'll toss it while you figure out, hey, as I've learned, audio problems are, that happens. So we'll just, Ed, What did you think about this matchup? Like I said, I think it was a very big, it was hit all your spots type deal. Kingston, of course, is going to be the guy in peril. It was a lot of fun way to stand off with Mox and Sting. I thought that was kind of. I'm sorry, it wasn't Mox and Sting, was it? Yeah, no, they kind of.
No, well, they did
They
at the end,
but
yeah. I liked it. 2.0 is fantastic. Everrise rules the show, whatever you want to call them. These two guys are just absolutely outstanding characters. I think they'd fit in this AEW tag division, but I continue to go back to what we've talked about before. This tag division already has so many teams that are in it and then, gone for so long. I'd hate to have another one of those teams come in and be just another, almost a casualty of it. But I mean, you can't not be excited to see 2.0 on TV. These guys are absolutely fantastic. They really get over the Danny Garcia, as I'd never heard of him, but I loved him with them because they can hype him and make him seem like a big deal. And you know what? They had a good showing in getting beaten up by three of the best guys, and it's a key that you put them in there with those three because you can have them get absolutely destroyed like they did and not lose a thing. Yeah. And I did love seeing Kingston and Moxley kind of fanboy over Sting at the end.
Yeah.
That was adorable.
For those that don't know Daniel Garcia, like I said, I'm not entranced in all of his catalog, but I will tell you I did a few months back watch him versus Lee Moriarty, who just signed with MLW. They put on an absolute banger in Beyond Wrestling, I believe it was, or Limitless. It was one of those two. It's on the IWTV channel. Check it out, search it. He's good. He's really good. I mean, I liked what he was doing in the ring. Him and Darby had good chemistry. That stare down. The stare down was him and Mox. I want to see more of that. And then to Jeremiah, our boy Jeremiah dropping in saying they don't need any more tag teams. I think kind of echoing your point, Ed. There's a lot of tag teams, and you just don't want to see him come in just to be a casualty. But I think you could see a scenario where Everrise racks up 30 wins in Dark and Elevation, and then challenge the Bucks for the title. As the Bucks alluded to later on, they're running out of competition, so maybe Everrise or 2.0.
Yeah, but it's the thing. They're not running out of competition. They're just not booking their tag division. I mean, you've got Yuta and the Best Friends that you could book in any combination. You could book them in the tag division. You still have the Lucha Bros who are in the story with Andrade but not working. You got Pride and Powerful still, Santana and Ortiz not working. You've got
it worked last week.
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like you've got a bunch of these things they could be going through, and it's like Lucha, what is it? The Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Like, there's a bunch of tag teams that they could be, moving through this with. Yeah. So the Bucks saying they don't have competition is what it is. But AEW just needs to make sure if they're going to tout that they have the best tag division in the world, really put a heavy focus on it.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that. I think they did for a while. They've kind of backed off a little bit. Before we make sure Cody's mic is back up and running, if he's still with us, let me shout out our sponsors, RK Athletics. Go check them out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They do a lot of awesome stuff over there. If you're looking to get lean and mean and keep that summer bod going, go check them out. They sponsor all this goofiness that we be doing every night here on Love Wrestling. So, Cody, what did you think of this six-man tag?
You can hear me now?
I can hear you now. I feel like
awesome.
we're on Verizon Wireless, baby.
It was. I really enjoyed it. Actually, it was one of my favorite matches of the night. I think. I was saying I really enjoy the Allen and Moxley dynamic together. I think Kingston fits really well as just kind of the tough guy in there and the silent but deadly. One kind of knock I had on it was Kingston being the guy playing the face in peril for a large part of it. I was kind of happy that ended up being mostly in the picture-in-picture during the commercial break there, that it wasn't really too focused on, but it was kind of hard for me to picture Kingston as a face in peril and having to go to Mox or Allen for the hot tag. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Everrise, I really enjoy the comedy stuff and the comedy dynamic to them, and their character work's really fun. The one big highlight, though, was the one that went up on Twitter of the Allen dive outside when one of the Everrise guys and Sting were having their stare down outside.
Oh, yeah. They alluded to Kingston and the Everrise guys. I'm sorry, I didn't catch their names. Anybody in the comments, let me know what they renamed them. I
think
got
it's like Parker or
2.0.
something.
It's 2.0. They're using the same names.
They're actual. I knew the 2.0, but I don't know the names of them. So
I think they're still using Matt Parker and Trey something or other.
Okay, I heard Matt, I heard Jeff. I was like, I don't know. I'm calling them 2.0, but that's me. And then we get Moxley hitting the paradigm shift, and then Darby hitting the coffin drop, babyface pop win. Crowd goes nuts because Darby Allin's over, and then Sting and Kingston are fanboying with Sting in the ring. This is why you bring Sting back. You don't bring it. You just let him sit there and let all the wrestlers that look up to him, do one of these, and
and even Mox almost cracking a smile and giving
the Even I think it was JR Excalibur was like, Mox is smiling, like what? So Mox is loving life. He's hanging out with Sting. He's making a bunch of money. He's the top face in the company. It's awesome. I love it. Then we get a quick video package recap of Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, the whole FTW thing. I don't think there's a whole lot of stuff there unless you boys had anything to add to that. It was literally just a look back at what happened over the last few weeks. Yeah, I don't even think they announced anything for like next week or.
There's still no match for it.
Yeah. So, you get that look back, but then we get the Elite. The Elite are out hooping. And this is where I knew this episode was your typical, like I said at the top, homecoming show, right? You powder puff it in. It's an easy opponent, and then you just go to the dance, which we'll get to at the end of the show. But they were hooping. They didn't miss a shot. They basically, like I said, they had, Kenny Omega talking about how he's got no competition. The Bucks are talking about retiring the belt. The Good Brothers are going after. I wrote it down. I was like, I'm blanking on their names. Who do they want to face? Dark Order. They're offering Dark Order a shot at the Impact titles, which admittedly I didn't know that they'd won back. So shows I need to catch up on Impact the past couple weeks. Any takeaways
on YouTube now?
Yeah, I'll have to.
They've got their Twitch partnership now, so all the shows are on YouTube now. Got to pay 99 cents to watch them.
But I can watch it on TV. They're still on Access.
Oh, for those of us who don't have access, which is me.
Which I got access. I got them recorded. I just got to catch up.
Okay.
There you go. Look, it's not a show if I'm not dancing.
We should all dance.
Shout out to my man Zach.
Zach needs to dance more.
Anyway, I did like that. Luke Gallows is rocking the Ric Flair robe. Is that a tease? I don't know. What did Cody? What did you think of this little Elite segment here, talking about how they've wiped out the competition and they basically want to retire the belts?
Yeah, the basketball theme isn't necessarily my thing. I enjoyed Machine Gun Anderson. They're spinning the ball on his hands 2,000 times or whatever it was they were counting out to start the segment there, but it wasn't too much there. I guess it's them giving the shot to the Dark Order since they lost their shot at the Bucks. And then the Bucks just bragging and being Matt and Nick as they are. Shout out Kenny Omega, though, for that Cookie Monster shirt. I will give 2 thumbs up to that one.
And the matching shorts. The shorts kind of complemented it really well tonight. He was on point. They kind of the Good Brothers in a way are considering this like a charity move on their part to give a title shot to Dark Order. Ed, what'd you think about that?
I still hate the basketball bullshit. It's beyond annoying to me. I didn't like it last week. I still didn't like it this week. I get that it's a tie-in with Space Jam and cool, whatever. Brandon Cutler's starting to become real annoying on television. I never thought I'd say that about a nice guy like Brandon Cutler. But the dude's really starting to be annoying on TV. He's turning out to be a really good heel. So good for him. But it seems like none of them have any direction. And you're talking about some of the most talented people in this company. And I mean, if we're not going to, again, like I said, if we're not going to Omega versus Page, then I feel like we've wasted the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to pull that trigger, you need to pull it soon. I'm all for making sure it's the perfect moment, but I don't know.
You're not feeling You're not feeling the elite.
The elite are not clicking with me right now. I don't know what it is, but they're just not.
That's funny you say that. For me, the elite, this iteration of the elite, this like over the top, cocky, young, didn't click for me when it started. It's clicking for me now. It's making sense, but I do think in a way, like you said, Ed, I think they're treading water a little bit here, and I don't think it's because they don't have any direction. I think they're trying to catch up. Like, we're talking Santana, Ortiz, FTR. We got to catch them back up to get some more formidable tag team challengers, because you can't. They kind of book themselves in these corners in a sense where they don't just automatically go back to a rematch. So it's a slam dunk to say FTR Bucks 2 it all out, but we just saw it. So they kind of need to build somebody else, in my opinion. But I think there's no way they don't do Page and Omega at All Out. I think that would be an absolute mistake.
I mean, the way people are talking about it right now is people are afraid of Page having his big moment stepped on by CM Punk. Because it's in Chicago and it's a landing spot for Punk. It's a possible landing spot for Bryan, for some of these big names. And they don't want to have that final moment overshadowed by a CM Punk return.
I mean,
like I said, I'm just saying what the internet's talking about.
You don't know how I feel about CM Punk and how I don't care what happens. Come back, step on whoever you want. I'm the world champ. CM Punk's back. It's all gravy for me. Cody, what do you think about Ed just said right there? You think? How do you feel about CM Punk rumors anyway? Because this is your first time on the show. Lay it out, my man.
Well, let's start here. I've been on the same train as what Ed's saying. I'm one of the ones on there that sees it as that's a perfect reason to maybe hold off on Page, put him in this situation now where you're telling a story where he has the rug swept out from under him and has to, get it back again. He gets in this position. He relies on the Dark Order to have his back. He loses his opportunity. He has to fight back to it. You delay it a little bit after the All-Out pay-per-view there. You let Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, whoever else is debuting come in, have their moment, and then Page can have his moment in the sun where he's not being overshadowed, and he can be that guy getting the top story, getting the top attention. So I'm not opposed to that being the story. I don't know. I haven't read a lot of the rumors yet. I've just heard people talking about it, but to me, it makes sense to go that route. As far as CM Punk coming back, I'm intrigued. He said so many times over the last 10 years that he was never going back to wrestling. It wasn't happening. And so to see him finally possibly coming back, making that appearance, getting back in the ring again, intrigued to see where it goes. There's a lot of really good people in AEW that I'd love to see him go up against, just to see where he stands against them. So excited to see it happen, excited to see where it goes, but I've never been a huge Punk fan. I said that on Reacts on Saturday, and I still stands true that he never hit for me. Straight Edge Society was the best I ever thought of him, and then he just kind of went downhill from there.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But everybody that watches me knows I think he debuts on the 20th at Rampage in Chicago, because you got to fill the United Center, and then it doesn't overshadow Page when he wins the title at All Out. But hey, that's what if I was booking, because I think you want to get people's eyes on that Friday show. And they did a lot of teasing of Rampage next week. They did a lot of teases and promotion. They're really going all in on this thing, and I can't wait to see what they do with Rampage. I wonder how we are as a War Report are going to attack the Rampage show here at Love Wrestling. We'll have to get a hold of our boy Spencer and see what he wants to do. So Spencer, if you're listening, I'm on another show. That budget's blown, baby. I know that's a gimmick for another day. But we got Astrid hopping in saying Punk, and I am hoping he debuts at Rampage too. So great minds think alike, Astrid. I just think that's the best business move you could make.
If he doesn't debut on that 20th show and something big doesn't happen on that show in the United Center, you're going to have 20,000 really angry people in Chicago.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You got to do something there, because you know what? Filling the United Center for a Bulls game is hard enough, let alone a wrestling show. As a guy that lives 2 hours from that stadium, and the Bulls are who they are after Jordan left. It's not always a packed house, but I digress. As we get closer and closer to Rampage next week, we do have Christian Cage versus the Blade. As everybody knows, last week, Blade comes out, cracks Christian Cage with a nunchuck knuckles, brass knuckles. What's wrong with me? I can't speak today, Ed. I'm losing my mind.
You're fine.
I had no technical difficulties on the audio side, but I can't speak, so it is what it is. So, he comes out. It's a hot start for Blade. He jumps him, trying to get that early edge. But really, this is what it is. This is what I said. It's homecoming. All the heroes are going to get the W. When he gets involved, Layla Hirsch comes out. She starts, she decides to help, keep the bunny from getting involved. Christian Cage. Blade goes for the brass knucks while the ref is distracted. Cage hits him with spear. 1, 2, 3. Game over. Crowd goes crazy. What'd you guys think? Ed, we'll start with you on this. So what'd you think of this match?
It was fine. It's a good TV match. Braxton Sutter, Blade, whatever you want to call him, looks fantastic. The dude's really done a good job giving himself an interesting look. He's got a great moveset. This Hardy family office is one of the worst. I don't know if it's worse than the Nightmare family that what's her name had. Remember
Brandy's
thing?
Awesome Kong and my girl Mel Cruz. Whatever happened to her, man? She shaves her head and they disband that thing.
They did.
I saw
for good reason.
I saw her at a local show in South Bend where I'm from. She comes in, kicks the head off of the champion of the promotion, wins 1, 2, 3 in like 30 seconds. And then like 2 weeks later, she's on AEW. I was like, whoa, that happened quick. But anyway, go on, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fine match. It's continuing to build wins for Christian so that he can take on Omega. We're going to finally get a little bit of a payoff of all the Omega Christian stuff that we, teased in the beginning when Christian came in. Christian can go up against Omega on television and lose, and you can keep pushing to whoever's going to be that all-out opponent.
Mm-hmm. Well, Cody, how'd you feel about this matchup? What do you think? What do you think about Ed said there with Christian moving on to Omega? Do you think he's done here with the Hardy family office?
I think he's definitely moving on. I think the match itself, like Ed said, was a good TV match. It was a pretty well run, Bunny getting run off early, Layla coming out for the save, then they kind of paid off that with the later on in the show with the Layla Christian story actually being explained further. Talking a lot about Christian going on to become the, currently ranked number 2 prior to the match, and made a big deal about it, that this match would bump him up to the top of the running there. I definitely think we're going to get Christian Omega. I think at All Out we might see, if that is where they go to pull Page out and they make Christian Omega happen, that there may be some nonsense from the Hardy family office to kind of keep that going and make it that Christian isn't ready for that shot yet because he's not done with Matt and the rest of his crew there. But for now, I appreciated this match for what it gave. I appreciated the story being told and how it played out on TV.
Yeah, I kind of echo Ed's sentiments on that. I think the Hardy family office thing isn't the best use of Matt Hardy. That's just me. I think he's one of the more creative minds in the business. We've seen that with Woke and Matt. He's always willing to reinvent himself. I think this is probably not his most inventive self. So I really hope that they kind of move away and have Christian Cage move on to Omega, because I think you can have your Omega Page up here and then do something over here with Christian Cage and keep it all intertwined. That'd be a lot of fun to see. Basic match, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to bring something up because I got curious while we were talking about that. All Out is 4 weeks away. We have 4 more Dynamites, and then we have All Out.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're putting that match in between All Out and whatnot, then they got to do it quick because...
Well, I don't think it needs a lot of build. They've already kind of built the story, and all Christian Cage has to do, and that's the beautiful part of the ranking system. And I was going to talk about this. I'm a big proponent of the ranking system, the wins and losses matter thing. All Christian Cage has to do is walk out and say, I'm the number one contender. Let's do this. And Christian Cage is one of those guys that I don't think a loss hurts him. He's Christian Cage. He's an all-time legend. He takes an L to Omega on Omega's road to Page. Cool. Or they could wait. Maybe Christian Cage says, hey, I want to wait to see who takes it at All Out. Who knows? I mean, there's still a way to write it. We got 4 weeks, but AEW does a really good job of like tying the story together for us. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd be interested to see how they come up with something. But, you know, they got 4 more weeks of TV plus 2 more rampages, 3 maybe. Sure. I'd have to look at the schedule. I'm not a calendar guy. I don't know. Then we get FTR Ortiz video. They're talking about last week. Dax, is it Dax? Dax and Cash. I get a Cash Wheeler. Dax. Dax is the bald one. He's all fired up, right? He's like, you almost killed my best friend. He's sitting there gushing blood, and they can't stop it. This is far from over for me. Santana Ortiz is also like, hey, this is still going. This is what I was talking about earlier. I think you got to keep this feud going, build it up. Let's keep FTR and Santana Ortiz fighting forever. I think there's a lot of story. And before we get into that, hello, Josh Robinson, our buddy Josh, mind behind the legacy of. He did an awesome podcast this past week with Spenny Love on Are We Recording Yet? Go check out Josh. Josh is the best. But what did you guys think of this video package? What do you think about them keeping FTR and Santana Ortiz going further on, I should say, into the future? Don't all jump in at once.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good that Dax ended up pulling off the win in that match, whether it was assuming it was the scheduled finish all along, but getting that in there, it definitely makes it a lot easier to keep things going. If Santana and Ortiz had been the ones getting that win when Cash ends up going down with the injury, it's a lot harder to try and make a reason for that story to keep going while Cash is recovering. But right now you've got Dax basically fired up, ready to go. He's not done with the feud yet. He wants revenge for his brother now that they're going to come back. They're going to fight over it. Cash is going to come back with stitches or whatever in his arm and, you know, give us an all-out brawl between the two teams, and it'll be really fun when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I think that they want to redo this match and they want to have it play out the way they want. They obviously didn't get the finish they were intending on when they had to rush to it last week. So I like the idea of pushing this back, especially if he can be healthy. Thankfully, it does seem it's as low grade as it was. You know, just his hand getting caught and punctured by the turnbuckle, the metal piece. So at least it's, you know, it could have been a lot worse, I would imagine. So Hopefully he gets a speedy recovery. Hopefully he can get back in the ring. And we can see these guys doing what they do best and wrestling and not talking.
Like I said, a lot of talking in this episode, but I think it was meant to fill time. You're back at Daly's place. You're back in Jacksonville. And, of course, we segue into one of my favorite people of all time in the wrestling world, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. She's invited to the ring with her man, Tony Schiavone. And, of course, this is where they hype up that they're going to be in Pittsburgh next week for the first episode of Rampage. So she's out there talking about how good it is to be back in Jacksonville. My man, Jeremiah, I don't think I forgot your comment earlier, says, Britt Baker, DMD is the only one I wouldn't mind going to regularly. She is great on the mic, the women's division, and Britt's one of the best things. He says the women's division isn't all there. Britt Baker's one of the best. I agree a little bit, Jerry. I think the women's division is much better than it has been, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, Britt Baker does what she does. She comes out, talks about she's a champ. She's got Reba with him, and then Red Velvet. I'm thinking about Power Out. Shout out to Zach on Tuesday nights. Red Velvet comes out, says, hey, I want a shot, and proceeds to say, I'm 22-4. I was an enhancement talent last time we fought. I was an up-and-comer. I wasn't ready. Now I'm on a seven-match win streak. I want to make it happen. Britt Baker tells her, bring it on. Tony Khan will make the match because she's the favorite of Tony Khan's. And we get Red Velvet Britt Baker at Rampage next week or on the 20th.
Next week, probably.
Cody, what'd you think of that while I check my notes to make sure? At the Rampage debut, it'll be next week.
Yeah, it's the Rampage first episode on the 13th the next week. Looking forward to it. I'm not entirely familiar with Red Velvet, unfortunately. It's haven't seen her much in the last couple months while I have been watching Dynamite more frequently and regularly, but really enjoying Britt Baker and what she's done. So everything involving her is enjoyable. The one part that kind of I'm still never really going to get used to in any company in any sense is referring to yourself as an enhancement talent when you're just starting out. I prefer that they refer to themselves more as a rookie, or when I was just getting started or just kind of getting into it or anything along that. The term enhancement talent feels too much like it's breaking kayfabe.
Yeah, I can see it. When she said that, I was kind of a little, because when she started out, everybody was talking about Jade Cargill because they were tied together in the Cody Shaq feud. And without Red Velvet, Jade Cargill doesn't look like $1 million in that match, right? So they struck gold with Red Velvet in a lot of ways. I think that she is a future women's champion, in my opinion, down the road. Maybe not in the next year, but maybe in a couple years when she gets a little bit more of her sea legs, as they say. Ed, what did you think about Red Velvet coming out and challenging for the AEW women's title?
I mean, at least it's something going on. I was a little confused because I misunderstood what the Layla Hirsch Bunny match was. I didn't realize that was for an NWA Women's Championship match.
We'll talk about that.
I was going to say, which still irritates me that they're continuing to push the NWA Women's Championship almost more importantly than their owns when you have Britt Baker, doing the best work of her career right now. Oh, we got to run in.
Fluggo's got kids. Get out of here, crazy.
But no. But Britt Baker's doing great work. I honestly don't think it matters who she worked with. It's going to look great. Red Velvet looks really interesting. I was expecting more. I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of her. I was expecting more red. An all black attire just didn't seem to do the whole Red Velvet thing. But I mean, I like the whole red's not your color dig at Britt Baker, who was in red tonight. I love that Reba's still kind of just not able to get the job done.
Aster thought she looked cute.
No, I think she's talking about Little Pluggo.
Oh, well, Red Velvet looked cute. Little Pluggo looks cute. Everybody, we all cute, man.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he's back again.
You call him cute, he shows up. He's just like Papa Pluggo. He's all about his looks, No, but Red Velvet's been doing her thing on Dynamite and Dark. And again, this is where I alluded to earlier with the ranking system, right? They do this awesome ranking system, but in my opinion, and this is an opportunity on Elevation and Dark to pad some stats and not have them on Dynamite every week. But again, I think it's a foregone conclusion next week. You're going to see, Red Velvet take an L, but I think she's going to look good. And like Ed said, we will talk a little bit more about that NWA stuff coming up here.
And going with the ranking system just for a second, I wish that they would do a 2-minute segment on Dynamite talking about the rankings every week. Like if they're doing a good job bringing them into the storylines now, because for a long time they were like they're important and they were bringing it up every week, and then all of a sudden for like 8 months it seemed to disappear. And now they've brought them back into storylines and they're making them matter again. I wouldn't mind a 2-minute thing going, all right, here's our top 5. Here's what they did this week. Here's who moved in. Here's who moved out. I think you have time on this 2-hour show that you could do a quick segment talking about the 3 divisions and being like, here's what's going on with the rankings.
Absolutely. Yep. Talking about it would be ideal. I think even just putting them up on screen, heading to a commercial break at some point, throw up like a flash through. Here's your men's top 10. Here's your women's top 10. Here's your tag team top 10.
Yeah, I agree. Because when they said Christian Cage was the number 2 ranked wrestler, I kind of took aback a second. I was like, really? because I don't feel like I see that many Christian Cage matches. I know we've seen, I think he's wrestled maybe 8-10 times at this point, but like I said, when they said he was number 2, I was like, oh, see who's, and then I was like, who's number 1? Who did he jump by beating the Blade? I didn't catch that because I was too busy taking notes to honor my man JPJ, dude. Page, yeah. Well, that's what I figured, and then I was like, let me look it up, and I didn't look. It's if you're right, if you explain it to me weekly, except they post them on Twitter and on their website. If they were to put that into the show somehow, even if it was like a ticker at the bottom, right?
Just something. Talk about them, bring it up.
Yes, that would be more ideal, but unfortunately, they're not doing that. You're right. Sometimes I'm like, oh, hey, what? I didn't know they were rigged.
Twitter, I guess.
I really wish, and I really think they should do this thing like they do with like college sports, right? When they promote these matchups, they used to do it. They stopped doing. Put the rankings in the match card. Say Cody, the number 2 ranked wrestler, is taking on Black, the number 3 wrestler, and it kind of gets you in your head going, this is a big deal. The winner would get a title shot. But that's why I'm sitting here talking to you guys and not working for AEW.
That being said, AEW, if you want to call, any of us will take a phone call.
Yeah, like, listen, if you need a guy to worry about rankings and do power rankings and stuff, like my resume, my DMs, they're open. Let's do this. Like, sorry, Love Rest. I'll still work here too. I do both. I could double dip, right? The forbidden door's wide open in this thing. Anyway, let's get going on. We'll move on down the card. We got Andrade come back out talking a little bit more. He's with Chavo Guerrero. They bring out Fuego del Sol. Poor Fuego. He is like the AEW Dark Superstar, right? Like everybody loves Fuego, right? They say, oh, if the Lucha Bros ain't gonna work for us, I got somebody that will. If Fuego comes out, they have him they tell him to shine his shoe, says no. Andrade proceeds to beat him down, put his face on the shoe, and the whole time Chavo's yelling, This is you, Pac. This is you, Pac. So they're clearly sending a message to the Lucha Bros and Pac. I have a feeling that we are setting ourselves up for a Pac Andrade all-out matchup. Cody, how do you feel about Fuego del Sol, the shoe shiner?
Sorry for him. I feel very sorry for Fuego after that and getting his shoes rubbed on Mr. Flair's feet.
Oh, the man, the myth, the legend, JPJ with that quick run and saying Andrade versus Pac. Yes, please. I could watch that 7 all day, every day, twice on Sundays. Like, let's go.
100%. JPJ hits it right on the nose. That's what I'm into this for. The stuff with Lucha Bros, the stuff with Fuego now, even the little stuff with Chavo, it's all just leading us to that Andrade versus Pac matchup, and whatever it takes to get us there, I'm just looking forward to the end.
What say you, Ed, on that?
It's a fine segment. I don't understand why you needed to put poor Fuego in this spot, to have him get beat down. This poor guy. I mean, this week he gets his butt kicked by Andrade. Last week he takes a black mass that dude sold like $1 million, crumpled and fell down and everything. Fuego is fantastic. I really hope this guy gets signed. He kills it on Dark. He kills it on Dark Elevation. The guy is great on Sammy's vlog. If you've ever seen any of the Sammy vlog stuff, he's just entertaining as can be. I really like this kid.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a good. They say a good hand, right? Like, and I call these spots the Heath Slater spots, right? Yeah. Remember when Raw was, parading out legends and they were just doing their finisher on Heath Slater every week. They're putting you in these spots with these high profile people and these whole, they think very highly of you, right? Because it's easy that they could have just used some no-name guy that we've never heard of to have Andrade beat the crap out of. So Fuego, he's getting his checks. He keeps getting his checks. JPJ, thanks for hopping in, making sure I'm not blowing the second show's budget this week.
I'm just going to throw this out here that I think what we might be heading to here, or at least what they're teasing out of it, is that we could see Lucha Bros end up turning on Pac in the first match and joining Andrade.
Yeah, that thought has crossed my mind tonight. I thought that would be an interesting move, and I think it would it would definitely make Andrade even stronger if he's able to take the Lucha Bros away from the Death Triangle, because I know how over the Death Triangle is in AEW circles. So that would get you some real heat on all parties. And it would make Pac, who everybody loves, a likable bastard, for lack of a better term.
LWO, maybe?
Maybe. Why not? I mean, Hoovy's back. Chavo's back. Let's strike. I'm down. I'm always down. So then we get, go ahead.
I'd be down for it even resulting in an American version of LIJ.
Hey, there you go. I'm all for it. What AEW has done for me has opened up all sorts of doors to where I'm open to all sorts of possibilities, and they've got a track record of showing more often than not that they hit more than they miss. For now, obviously they have hopefully years and years of this to come, so we'll see if they keep that track record, but early on they are successful. Excuse me. Then we get another segment with Tony Schiavone. Got a lot of TV time tonight. He was all over interviews. We get Paige out in the ring. They want to follow up on what happened with him in the Dark Order, and the Elite come out. And the Elite do the Elite thing, and they interrupt, and they basically, Kenny Omega, berates him up and down. He says, "Are you asking to join the Elite again?" And Paige is like, No, I'm not joining. That's not what I'm asking. And Kenny basically says, "Good. I'm not. You're not good enough. You're a loser. You are not part of this team anymore. We've moved on. We're all winners." They're all in their rompers with their nice hair and their title belts. I noticed that Gallows lost the robe from earlier. And then, Hangman Page had enough, heard enough, cracks Omega, and then proceeds to get his ass handed to him. Dark Order comes out. Stu Grayson stops, as we alluded to earlier, stops them, says, no, this is what he wants. He wants to do it solo. They all, retreat backstage, and then the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian, pops out. He takes an L. He gets dumped to the floor. Elite stand tall. Omega cracks Page, says, "You're never going to get this. You're never going to see this." Well, hello. You're never going to see this title again. Cracks him.
Is that a real bunny?
That is a real bunny. Cracks Page in the face and segment. So
he's one segment too early, by the way.
Yes, the bunny segment is next.
Sorry, I had to do it. I had to.
Sorry, JPJ. Don't.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Anyway, oh man, this was
a great set. This is a great segment. I love the little bit with the kids gotta work on his time.
Sorry, JPJ.
It was a great segment. Dark Order has really gotten over with with the unfortunate passing of Brody, but ever since the beginning, it's hard to believe that we can go back and we can talk about early Dynamite and how Dark Order was the worst thing on the shows early on, and how they weren't working and they weren't getting over, and they've totally changed. And now they're one of the most important parts of the show. They're one of the most important parts of being the Elite. You've got a bunch of talent in there that's ready to go at main event level, and you got a bunch of these guys who are learning on the fly. I love the idea of Stu and Uno being the ones who are like, no. We heard what he said. He's our friend. We have to do what our friend says.
Because they were the leaders of the Dark Order at the beginning. Basically, it was Stu and Uno running the show. And then, like you said, they brought in Brody Lee. And all right, rest in peace to Brody Lee. Cody, what did you think? Did this add to some intrigue? Did it build some storylines for you? Do you think we are going to see some Dark Order involvement at some point again, or do you think they're going to hang back?
Definitely added some intrigue. The entire segment added a ton of intrigue to that, much more than the Elite Basketball segment. It added anything. The part with Uno and Grayson coming out, turning the rest of the Dark Order around. Frankie Kazarian inserting himself now into this story as the Elite Hunter, and he's been tied to the Elite for a little while, and now he's a bit like a clear part that he's in with Paige in the Dark Order to help them with their struggles with the Elite as well, or at least looking for their help. One big question I was left with out of this, though, was what was Paige going to ask Matt and Nick? Because he never really did get to the question, did he? I have to ask you guys something. I have to ask you guys something. And then Kenny kept interrupting him, and he never got to it. So what was he going to ask?
Yeah, that definitely left a cliffhanger for us on that
We
one.
should ask the Tootsie Roll Owl, see if he knows.
Woo, 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 woo. Is that who we're talking about here?
Oh, we've lost it.
Sorry about the bunny. I have to reset myself. We had a bunny sighting. My kids popping in, and now I've completely lost all my notes.
I think the next segment is
okay, yeah. So here's where we're at. I was gonna tie this all to a knot and say, Hangman Page, they are making him out to be the most indestructible dude ever. He takes 3 BT triggers and the title to the face. Then we move on, and then Dan Lambert shows up, talks about how he was disrespected by Lance Archer. Next week, he better bring his big boy pants because he's coming back with some backup. Okay. That's really all I have for that.
Dan Lambert is the most annoying man in all of MMA. I didn't like him when he was in TNA. I thought he was annoying as Bobby Lashley's manager in TNA. It's fine. I would love it if this is a chance for us to get to see, Love Wrestling friend Alex Kane, member of Team American Top Team. As you're wearing the shirt, you're repping the shirt. I would love it if that's who he brings with him next week. I'm going to assume it's King Mo. But could you imagine if it was Archer standing toe-to-toe with Alex Kane?
Oh, well, I'm a huge Alex Kane fan.
I am as well.
Huge supporter. So whatever that man does, I'll have him on my TV every day, all day, twice on Sunday. That's going to be my new stay. Cody, what did you think of this Dan Lambert segment?
Wasn't much to it. A little bit of intrigue as to who he's bringing back, but nothing really to stand out or kind of jumped out at me at this point. A quick little 30 seconds or whatever he got there to build some intrigue to next week and see what happens.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that's that segment for me, honestly, I think could have been like a YouTube segment or something, or did it on social. I think you could have did something else with the 30 seconds here. But hey, again, that's why I'm here. So then we get God's favorite champion, everybody. We get Miro. And he takes on my man, Lee Johnson. I love Lee Johnson. But Lee Johnson, tonight was not your night, pal. You're not that guy. You are not that guy, pal. Comes out with Dustin Rhodes. They're talking about how Lee has to have the match of his life. He doesn't quite have the match of his life. He gets a little offense in. I gotta say, Lee, he gets a little offense in, but overall, Miro pretty much was toying with him. This was to, again, homecoming. Let's let the big star get the W, get the crowd going. Ed, I'll throw to you. Thoughts on the TNT title match with Miro and Lee Johnson?
I think it went too long. I think Lee got too much in. And I only say that because we talked about this match last week. And we talked about how Lee Johnson shouldn't get any offense in. And this should just be an absolute squash from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that idea because I thought it would have been cool, especially on the homecoming. I like Lee Johnson. I think the guy's super talented. Miro was pulling out a little bit of Ric Flair there when he got DDT'd and stood up like he was all fine and then took forever to fall down. I wish he would have just fallen on his face and pulled the whole Ric Flair as opposed to falling to a knee. Yeah. But I get it. It was a great match. Lee Johnson looked fantastic. Miro looked absolutely indestructible. And I'm curious to see who they put up against Miro next.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the spot that they teased a next opponent for Miro. Cody.
Yeah, even with Johnson's small kind of bursts and attempts at gaining offense there, I definitely felt it still had that strong squash feel to it throughout. It never really felt like Johnson was ever going anywhere with anything. He had his little energy bursts and then sputtered out real quick, and Miro shut him down every single time. Thought it was a good showing for Miro. Overall, the key, not the key, but the biggest thing to me out of it was at the end where he was kind of petting Johnson's face and, I forgive you. I forgive you.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me was they had dual let's go Miro, let's go Lee chants.
Yeah.
So if anything, this just makes me want more Lee Johnson because he's clearly over with the fans. So I'm all for more Big Shotty all day. Then they announced, so this match ends. Miro crushes him with, I'm blanking on the name. It's called the Game Over. Takes him down 1, 2, 3. Then they announced the Rampage team. Taz, Excalibur, Jericho, which I thought was an interesting decision. Jericho, maybe that's a one-off. I don't think he's going to be there all the time. And Mark Henry. Ed, you should have took notes today. I can't read my own chicken scratch. I got bunnies all over the place.
It's all right. You got a lot going on over there.
It's wild over here, baby. But that's a good, solid announced team. I think this is going to be the first time we see Mark Henry outside of the the debut that he signed. I don't know if he's doing anything else right now, but hey, that's a solid foursome. I think a 4-person booth is a bit much. I don't think Jericho's going to be there every Friday. I think it's just, again,
I hope not.
Let's put stay now.
I love Jericho on commentary, but a 4-man booth, when you also have Taz and Excalibur, like if you've listened to Dark and you've heard Taz and Excalibur, they don't need any more help being a convoluted mess as it is. And you're now adding Chris Jericho, who's just going to rile the two of them up. And then you're adding Mark Henry, which is going to be great. But like I said, I saw this announced team and I looked at my mother and I was like, this is a convoluted mess. It's too many cooks in the kitchen for this announced team. They're all great. They're all fun. They're all fantastic. But I don't think any 4-man booth is good ever. I have a hard time going with a 4-man booth when AEW does it normally, when they have like Jericho join for the whole night. But otherwise, it's a good announced team. I like having Excalibur on his own. Without Tony, without Jim. I think it's a good sign of the future because I hope someday.
I think we've talked too much about announced teams on this War Report, man. Let's get into the next segment. Unless, Cody, you want to talk announced teams.
Honestly, I guess I must have turned my head or something because I missed the announcement. You guys just broke the news to me.
News breaking, baby. Anyway, this show was just to get Rampage over, I think.
The only thing I have to say about hearing that group is, especially if it is a 4-man team, even for a short time period there, I don't see how Mark Henry gets a word in ever over those other 3.
We'll find out on Friday. Next Friday, not this Friday.
He just doesn't seem loud or talkative enough to speak over all of the rest of those guys.
He's learned on Busted Open. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot. I listen to a lot of Busted Open, but I have a feeling he has to figure out a way to get in on that. We got, then we get Cage and Shivani. Shivani is just killing it tonight. Wasn't she? Yeah, he's backstage with Kirsten Cage. They're talking about, hey, how do you feel? And Christian Cage starts singing the Golden Girls theme song, and basically alluding to he had asked Layla Hirsch if he needed to be at ringside for her, and she said, no, I got my best friends with me. He starts singing. He's the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship, so he's happy as all get out. That's really all I got for that. Christian Cage singing. Did he do well? Rate his singing, 1 to 10. Cody, how did Christian Cage do singing?
6.5.
Ooh, tough crowd. Ed.
7.
Dang, guys are lowballing him. I thought he was like an 8. Dude, I ain't out there, man. I don't want to sing it and get us copyright striked. I don't want Spencer to yell at me.
I also did like the little elite dig that he threw in at the end. That was fun.
Yep, said he's elite. He's actually elite. They're not, basically saying. And then we're going to get into this real quick, this match that Ed, I think he alluded to earlier. We got Layla Hirsch versus... Oh my! I'm sorry. I'm like losing my mind. The bunny. We just talked about the bunny. I had the bunny over here, bunny over there. Layla Hirsch and the bunny. They're going 1-on-1 in a NWA women's number one contender eliminator match because Serena Deeb is injured and she no longer can take the spot against Camille. So the winner gets to face Camille and the NWA. I don't know why they called it an eliminator match and just didn't call it a number one contenders match. I digress. Layla Hirsch, the bunny. The match was actually really solid. I think Layla Hirsch, for as small as she is in terms of like the bunny towered over her. And then we saw when Camille was at ringside and then got into the ring, she towers over both of them. But I thought it was a solid match overall. Layla Hirsch gets the W. She gets the pleasure of being on NWA Power. They didn't say that this was an Empower match because I don't think that's quite the match you're looking for the all-women's pay-per-view. So I have to imagine Zach will be covering this on a 6:05 Tuesday night. Ed, what did you think? Because I know you had a lot of thoughts on this one.
I really like this match. Bunny is an underrated in-ring performer. She's really gotten her sea legs under her for being in the ring. I think people think that she's just a valet, but she's not. Layla Hirsch is fantastic. Good things come in small packages, and Layla Hirsch is one of the smallest packages in all of women's wrestling right now. But this little girl can go. She is absolutely fantastic. I dig her. She's great. Her versus Camille is going to be a fantastic match that I actually want to go out of my way to try to watch because that's going to be great. I just didn't realize every time that this was promoted that it was an NWA match. And I wish that they would pay as much attention to getting number one contenders and doing their own championship matches and a little less on the NWA Women's Championship, because ever since they've had this partnership with NWA and getting Thunder Rosa in to work with them, it just seems like they've made this title feel important, which is fine, but what are you really gaining out of it when it's not your title?
Yeah. Cody, what do you think about that? What do you think about Go for it.
I agree with Ed again on the match itself. I was really impressed with the Bunny's performance. Definitely a lot more than I was expecting out of her. And Layla Hirsch was just absolutely a joy to watch. With all of the mass crowd that formed outside between the HFO and Best Friends, I guess just my wrestling instinct expected a lot more to be going on out there other than just an off-to-the-side stare-down that ended up creating a match for next week. But the actual match itself between Layla and the Bunny was more than enjoyable. I guess just the big thing there, too, is I also didn't really realize it was for the NWA title until tonight. And what separates the ranking system for the NWA and the AEW titles? Like, there needs to be a little bit of clarity, I think, there to explain like why somebody's in the NWA picture instead of the AEW picture. Why are they going after Camille instead of Britt? And, you know, if you're in the rankings to be a number one contender for one title, shouldn't you then also be the number one contender for the other title? Like,
yeah, I think you kind of. I would like them to explain it a little further. I do know that early on, I think Cody has and I think rightfully so, a big soft spot for the NWA. It's where his dad wrestled. He's won the title. They've always had a bit of a relationship there. I think it's a way to get some more women's matches on TV because you don't have the secondary title. I think they do need to explain it more. And it was a way, let's be honest, it was a way to get Thunder Rosa. I think part of the buyout, and I'm just speculating, I have no insider info. I think part of that was like, let's keep this relationship going if you want to use Thunder Rosa. And hey, I'm all for Camille being on TV. I think Camille is awesome. If you don't get a chance to watch her on Power, NWA Power, do so. I think she's a great talent. I think she's got a lot of potential. And she looks like a star. She looked imposing. I'd like to see Camille versus Britt Baker. Let's make that happen.
Camille versus Charlotte.
Yeah? So Layla Hirsch gets to move on. She gets to do that. I think that we did that one. Why don't I gloss over this real quick? My girl Jade Cargill, she cuts a promo with Mark Sterling, says she's back after getting the Jade brand over. She's going to be on Elevation in a return match on Monday. And I know that that's what everybody wants to talk about, right? And we're just going to end the show there. No. It is time. Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black. Homecoming main event. Black comes out in another creative, spooky, dark entrance. That's what Black's known for. That's what he does. The lights went out. Cody comes out in his Captain Crunch America shirt. They get to going. I literally was going to sit here and let you two kind of take this one, but I'll just tell you, it was a knockout, drag out for 4 minutes. Cody got kicked off the top rope into a table, barely made it back in. Black mass or whatever he's calling it now. Cody's done. I thought he was dead. 1, 2, 3. And he stood over him. I literally started to write, why doesn't Black just go for the pin right here? Why is he being cocky? This will cost him. And then the 3 count happened. Match over. Cody, were you surprised?
Yeah.
Pleasantly.
I was definitely surprised. I mean, I noticed the time as we were getting to that match, and I was like, wow, we're only getting 10 minutes for this. So I was a little kind of concerned on where it was going to go. I really enjoyed what they did with it, though. That top rope knee spot where Cody just back into the table was really, really solid spot. The Black Mass, I think Malachi missed it a little bit, but they definitely played it off that he came up and clocked him right in the jaw as opposed to what he used to do where it was like more of a tempo shot. So really the way the announce team sold that and sold it off is right up the jaw, just a clean cut and knocked him right out. And then where that went from there, it was unexpected, but it was a welcome unexpected turn of events.
Yeah, I was clock watching too. I'm a clock watcher when I watch these shows. I like to see where I'm at. I don't know why. It just is what I do. And it was like, there's still 7 minutes left in the show. What's going to happen? And of course, as I've been on the Royal Report the last few weeks, I thought this is CM Punk time, but it was not. Ed, what did you think about the quick squash? I know last week you, me, and JPJ said Cody's got to lose. It's got to happen. But in that fashion, he hasn't done that since Brody Lee.
I thought it was great. I was very pleasantly surprised that Cody understood what needed to happen here. The Anthony Ogogo match scared me to death. I keep thinking back to, Anthony Ogogo and Cody not putting Ogogo over. And I worried that it was going to happen again, and I was wrong. Good. But it again felt, and maybe this is just me having it a thing out for Cody Rhodes, the whole match felt like it was about Cody. Cody goes to the table, and the whole time the camera's on Cody, and Black's doing his sit in the ring. And then Cody gets in the ring, and, it's still all about Cody. And then he takes the Black mask, and Black just walks away, and Cody's just sitting in the ring there, and the ref's coming in, and the doctor's coming in, and everything else. And I'm just like, it's still, we had a 4-minute match and a 6-minute Cody promo.
Which we're going to touch on that. So, yeah. Cody does the right thing. He puts Black over. I didn't necessarily mind the spot through the table. I thought if you're going to put this guy over, you want him to look like a stone cold killer.
Oh, no, I like the spot. I just felt like it lingered on Cody throughout the whole spot as opposed to being about Black and the athleticism of Black.
Yeah, so then like you said, we get, Cody comes to the table, he wins, he gets squashed, takes that L. Tony Schiavone, which they don't do this that often. This felt to me shades of the McGregor spot. They come in while Cody's like just got his ass kicked, right? He is just down. And I'm literally waiting for Cody to go, I'll be in your mom's DMs later, or something stupid like they did on the MMA side of things with McGregor, but they didn't do that. And Cody starts to ramble. Okay. This is where I agree with you, Ed. He took the moment, he made it into something else. Like literally, I'm sitting there going, "Is this man?" He's rambling on about, when I was 15, I was a rev, and I thought he was just being disoriented and incoherent. And he proceeds to give what looked to be a retirement speech. He starts to take off the boot. He's talking about how the EVPs and him have had some inner fighting. He can't believe that we're competition, taking a shot at the WWE. Everybody thought we were a flash in the pan, but there comes a time where you have to do what's best for you. Takes the boot off, leans over. Black comes in, cracks him with that crutch. That was super short. That was a Layla Hirsch crutch.
It was.
But, so Cody, Cody, your namesake is about to retire here. What did you think? What were you thinking? What thoughts were going through your mind while Cody's giving that speech?
I was shedding a tear here, Plug, okay? I was sitting in front of my TV ready to just break down that I thought I just watched Cody Rhodes' last match. Like, he's selling this completely, utterly that, I've created this company, I'm running this company, I've got all of these other things, I've got new opportunities coming to me all the time, I got EVPs coming to me about different concerns. I just got my ass handed to me in 4 minutes by this new guy. It's time to, drop off the boots, leave them in the ring, and put on my suit and tie and go sit up at that desk up there. And he had me convinced. He had me sold. And, Ed, yeah, he did make it a fair bit about him. The table spot, I feel like usually they linger on whoever's down in the table trying to watch them get up. So I don't know necessarily that they lingered any longer than anybody else ever does. But after the fact, he definitely made it a lot about him. And I think Malachi coming back out with that crutch and taking him down one more time, it's almost Black. Like I said, I needed to come out and kill this, this lame horse. You get back up again, I have to take that final shot and put you down once and for all. And so that's, I think, where we're going to get to is, Cody's redemption here and trying to fight back. And ultimately, I think the way to go about it is to really put Black over once and for all and let him go over twice in a row. But I doubt that's where we're going. I'm sure Cody's going to get it. And what happens next?
Ed, you always come with that heat. You had to feel some sort of way about Cody almost shedding up Cody's tear there. Got Cody crying. He had me going for a hot second. I thought, and this before I get to Ed's point, because I have this rattling in my head, the whole time that was going on, I was thinking Mark Henry, salmon jacket. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's a retirement speech, but maybe this is the heel move. This is the moment. He says, you know what? I'm done with this American dream shit. I'm going back to Nightmare Cody. I'm getting back to my roots. I'm going to go away for a while. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks or something like that, as Cody's been known to do. But Ed, what did you think about this retirement angle?
I mean, Cody just, it's this guy. I want to love him. He's so good in the ring. He really is. But God, this guy loves him some old school wrestling stuff. It was a great promo. It was, like you said, it was a bit rambly, but I liked it. I didn't think it needed to be 6 minutes long. I thought you could have done it in 2 or 3. Kind of got over the point that, he's been through a lot and he wanted to, but maybe this is the time that he hangs it up. I like the purple socks as a toss out to Brody. I thought that was nice. But Malachi Black getting that last laugh in there and nailing him with that chair one more time. The crutch one more time. It just felt right. It puts Malachi on notice and it puts the spotlight on him to end. And I thought that was nice. They worked me. I'll admit I got worked. I thought he was going to retire. I was like, okay, well, at least if he retires, I don't have to worry about the Cody promos. But it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see where they go from here. When you squash the guy in 4 minutes in the first match, what are you going to do for an encore? But we'll see.
Yeah, I like the rambling part of this promo. He rambles in a lot of promos, but this one, you just got kicked
your
in
bell
the
rung.
face, your bell's rung, and that's where I thought he was going with it. And then I think, and I don't know, because again, I'm just speculating based on what I saw. I think Malachi Black coming in there and cracking him with the crutch before he can officially retire is his way of saying, I'm not done with you. You're not getting off that easy. You're not going to get some 4-minute match where I took you down. No, I want peak Cody Rhodes. I don't want this go big show Cody type stuff, because he alluded to all the stuff he's doing outside of AEW. And instead, I think Black is going to say, look, let's do it again. And, Cody's not one to leave like that. I don't think Cody takes that type of L. That's not a Cody retirement, right? You don't retire like that.
I was assuming Cody retires with a W, but that's just me.
Do you think Ed's onto something, though, that maybe not necessarily this week, but maybe next week, or maybe it was you, the Plug, instead of Pluggo, that maybe he does just not this week, next week he makes that turn and, you know, takes his time off and brings back the Nightmare, or maybe we see Malachi come out and call him out and be like, no, I don't want this executive Cody. I want Nightmare Cody. I want the Cody who can take me to my limit.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of money to be made there, and I just feel like that's not. I think Cody, you got one umped right. You got taken out by an up and comer. Hot, you made the right decision. Black's on the map. Cody, go home, spend some time with Liberty, do his thing. You know, come back strong. I don't know if you do it at all out. I don't. That might be too quick. Maybe you wait a little bit, and like you said, I think you get the demons out, bring that Cody out. That's ultimately what a character like Malachi. You don't mess with a Malachi Black, right? And then you're the same afterwards. No, it's similar to the Fiend type stuff. You mess with the Fiend, that messes with your mind. You're not just like, oh, I just fought Malachi Black this week, I'm going to go ahead and just be okay. I think. What do you guys think about that? You think that there's a future for this feud, or was that it?
I mean, there's obviously a future for it. I don't think you have Malachi come back out and do the crutch shot if there's not a future for it. I'd rather heel turn Cody. I think that there's money in Cody with a title run at the top of the division at some point. As a heel, going back on his word and having some babyface be like, no, you told us you weren't going to do this. How dare you do this? And have there be some babyface to do it. Probably, in my mind, that would be a good spot for Jungle Boy.
No.
You know, after we get through the Hangman and Omega stuff, if we leave Punk and Bryan off that top shelf, maybe then Hangman gets a short run as champion for this first run, and Cody comes back as a heel and, you know, goes back on his word and wins some kind of automatic number one contenders match and gets that world title shot and then wins the world title. And then you build Jungle Boy or Sammy Guevara to take him out.
I'll leave you guys with this as we wrap up, because that was the main event of the show. My question, I guess, overall, one, it's a two-parter. One, what did you think of the Malachi Black debut? Do you think that they did it right? Do you think that a quick 4-minute debut he did less than they did with Andrade versus Matt Sydal against Cody, right? So do you think that they made the right call by just having him come in and just immediately crush Cody? Cody, what do you think about? What's your thoughts on that? I keep saying, what do you think about that, Cody? And then I'm saying Cody Rhodes. I'm getting all confused.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Tommy End, Aleister Black, Malachi Black in all of his forms. Really enjoyed everything about his presentation tonight. I think the 4-minute match, the domination of that match right off the bat, just the target of the leg and just controlling everything from start to finish, really, was the right way to go about it to put him over as a big deal in this company right off the bat.
Ed?
They nailed the debut. He looked cool coming to the ring. He had a kick-ass match. He went ahead and just, beat down Cody Rhodes. He squashed him. Cody didn't get almost anything in this match. It was absolutely fantastic.
Well, there you have it. From Ed and Cody to Cody and Malachi, the homecoming in Jacksonville. I thought, this was a cool down episode of AEW. Even though we had a massive main event on paper, I think they cooled it down. They're getting rampaged or ramped up for next week. I think you're going to see them pull out a lot of stops heading into All Out, new show debuting. So I think that they're waiting for that to happen. Britsburg next week. Before we get out of here, I got to throw it to my man JPJ. Tell him thank you for allowing me an opportunity to host the War Report. Like, this is cool. I'm a little bit out of my element. As you all know, you can see me on Thursday nights on Between Two Beards at 8:30, kind of not doing the recap thing, just shooting at the hip with JPJ and whoever decides to run in. My kids run in. You never know what's going to happen. But Cody, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you before we get out of here?
You can find me for the next couple weeks, probably right here every Wednesday night on the War Report following Dynamite. On Twitter at Cody Defoe, on the Love Wrestling site. Once I get some articles started, I'm going to be writing and contributing on there as well. So keep an eye out for those that are going to be coming soon. And on any other of the Love Wrestling streams where I just decide to pop my head in and give some thoughts.
And Ed, where can the people find you? What do you got coming up this week?
All right, so people can find me at adfries12584 on Twitter. They can find me on Saturday morning. I'm going to be Saturday afternoon for me, morning for the Canadians. Doing the Saturday Reacts with Parrish as we talk the week in wrestling. And they can always find me moderating the Twitch chat for Tom Collihew at twitch.tv/Tom Collihew.
Very nice. And we got to once again shout out our sponsors, RK Athletics, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go find them at RK Athletics. Get a hold of them. They let us do this crazy thing and be awesome sponsors. Also, yeah, I see you, Ed. I got mine right here. Get your mug. I'm not good at the camera. Get your mug. LoveWrestlingShop.ca. Be like one of us. Get your Sunday brunch mug. We got masks. We got stickers. We got shirts. Get you a shirt. Spencer hasn't got me my own personal shirt yet, but we'll talk about that tomorrow on the Tweet Two Beers.
Oh, you and the budget, man.
That budget, baby. I just want a picture like this. My face on a shirt, Spencer. You're watching. Anyway, until next week, the War Report, JPJ, again, he was on assignment. He'll be back in the saddle. You won't have to listen to me ramble on and try to drive this ship. I'll just be a passenger. Until next week, the War Report is out. Peace.